Humans love to think we're rational, that we make decisions based on facts, logic, maybe a TED Talk. But really, we're walking bundles of cognitive shortcuts, emotional reactions, and arguments we once heard from a guy named Kevin who read something about it once. Little glitches in reasoning that sound smart, feel persuasive, and are used everywhere from internet comment sections to presidential debates to your aunt's Facebook page. We're about to explain every logical fallacy in 10 minutes. Can we, or can we not? That is the question. Anyway, by the end, you'll be able to call out a fallacy when someone drops one mid-conversation. Don't yell logical error like a robot on trial though. Just pause, ask a few questions, because in a world full of hot takes, clear thinking is basically a superpower. Why engage with the argument when you can just attack the person saying it? You're wrong because you're stupid. A classic, straight from the intellectual playbook of playground politics. This is called an ad hominem fallacy, Latin for to the person, which sounds fancy, but is really just, I can't beat your logic, so I'll insult your haircut. I think we should consider raising the minimum wage. Oh please, you're a college dropout. What do you know about economics? There are flavors, too. There's an abusive ad hominem, you're dumb. Then circumstantial ad hominem. Well, of course you'd say that, you're a teacher. Guilt by association. You agree with that policy? So did Hitler. Neat trick, still super fallacious, though. To be clear, criticizing someone's credentials is valid when relevant. If a heart surgeon gives gardening advice, skepticism is fine. But if they give surgical advice, and you respond with, yeah, well, you drive a Prius, you've left logic behind and entered the realm of petty. Attacking the person instead of the point is like trying to win chess by flipping the board and saying, I don't like your face. You could respond to what someone actually said, but where's the fun in that? Instead, you twist their argument into something way more extreme or ridiculous, and then win the debate against this fictional version. It's called a straw man because, like a scarecrow, it looks like the real thing, but it's made of hay and bad faith. I think we should increase funding for public schools. So you want the government to control every aspect of our lives? You want full-blown communism? No, dude. We just want the kids to have books, and maybe desks that don't collapse when leaned on. The straw man works by making the original argument easier to defeat, because it's no longer the original argument. It's like changing the test question halfway through and then awarding yourself an A+. There's nothing like a confident quote from someone with a title to make an argument sound bulletproof. But here's the thing. Not all authorities are created equal, and some of them are just loud. The basic move. Someone important sounding said it, therefore it must be true. No questions, no follow-up, just vibes and credentials. We all have a coworker who says things like, my cousin's dentist says climate change isn't real, and we bet he also has strong feelings about quantum physics and cryptocurrency. The issue? He's a dentist, not a climate scientist. This is an appeal to false authority. Sure, the person may be an expert, just not in that subject. Would you ask your yoga instructor for legal advice because she once watched Suits? Probably not, right? Right? Ah yes, the good old, you can't prove I'm wrong, therefore I must be right. Otherwise known as the appeal to ignorance fallacy, where lack of evidence magically turns into proof of the opposite. You meet your resident conspiracy theorist who goes, you can't prove aliens don't exist, so clearly they do. Right, and we can't prove you're not a lizard wearing human skin, but here we are. Still not grounds to start a Netflix documentary. Why is it a fallacy, you ask? Because not knowing something doesn't mean we get to just make something up and treat it like a fact. Ignorance isn't a trump card. It's just ignorance. In this case, not the blissful kind either. No proof against something does not equal proof for it. Otherwise, every myth, conspiracy, and cryptid would be accepted as fact. By that logic, you can't prove Bigfoot doesn't pay taxes. Therefore, he's a contributing member of society. Either you're with us or you're against us. Cool, and either we're Nobel Prize winners or total failures. How about we're just tired and want a snack? This is the false dilemma, where complex issues are flattened into a dramatic either-or choice. No middle ground, no third option, no nuance, just drama. Real life? Way messier. It's not a choose-your-own adventure with only 2 pages. Most problems have a spectrum of answers, but the false dilemma ignores that, because maybe both sides have valid points doesn't look great on a bumper sticker. It usually looks like this in daily life. Either we ban all immigration or we lose our culture. That's not a solution, that's panic in a trench coat. You're either a dog person or a cat person. Or maybe you like turtles. Moral is, if someone gives you two choices and neither make sense, there's probably a third one. Or a fourth. Or maybe they just want to win an argument, not have one. If we let kids wear hoodies, next they'll be robbing banks. Calm down, Karen. It's a sweatshirt, not a criminal gateway drug. The slippery slope fallacy is when someone insists that one tiny change will cause a catastrophic domino effect. One thing leads to another, and suddenly we're all living in a Mad Max reboot because of a policy about vending machines. You've probably heard this line: if we legalize marijuana, next we'll be legalizing heroin. Maybe that's not a slope. Can we say that's a leap off a cliff? Slippery slopes are dramatic and lazy. They replace analysis with fear, because saying, let's evaluate each step on its own merit, just doesn't fuel internet outrage. You met a rude French guy, so all French people are rude. And you once stubbed your toe on a coffee table, so now all furniture is malicious. Jumping to conclusions based on an impressively small dataset is the hasty generalization fallacy. You'll recognize it in situations like, my two coworkers are lazy, so this entire generation doesn't want to work. But two people do not make a sociological trend, though. Real conclusions require real data. A hasty generalization is basically writing a book report after reading one sentence. You missed some stuff. Some. Latin? Yes. Fancy? Sure. Right though? Nope. After this, therefore because of this. Just because something happened after something else doesn't mean the first thing caused it. Ever since we got that new cat, my Wi-Fi's been terrible. Unless Mr. Whiskers is moonlighting as a cybercriminal, this is probably unrelated, sir. This fallacy is a favorite in superstition, conspiracy theories, and bad relationships. It confuses correlation with causation, like assuming the rooster causes the sun to rise. Just remember, chronology is not causality. Otherwise, every sneeze would be considered a weather event. You want to talk about healthcare? What about emails? This is the red herring. No, it's not an actual fish, but definitely a smelly distraction. It's when someone changes the subject to something only kind of related, or not at all, to avoid addressing the real issue. Both are issues, only one was the topic. It's a verbal escape room. When someone's cornered in a debate, they throw a red herring, a shiny, emotional, or scandalous topic, and hope you chase it instead. If a conversation suddenly jumps from taxes to celebrity scandals, check your GPS. You've been rerouted. If you don't support this policy, think of the children. Of course, our old friend, the emergency override for logic. Using fear, pity, guilt, or heartwarming puppies to win an argument instead of actual reasoning. If you don't buy this alarm system, your family could die in a fire. Or maybe the buyer just wants to compare models. Emotion is powerful and useful in stories, songs, and human connection. But it's not evidence. An argument needs logic, not just vibes. Unless the topic is puppies, then fine, carry on. So there you have it. Every logical fallacy explained in roughly 10 minutes, which, ironically, assumes we didn't miss a few. But let's not fall into that trap. These little bugs in the system are everywhere. Debates, commercials, political speeches, arguments with your cousin Kyle, you name it. The bad news? They're surprisingly easy to fall for. The good news? Now you know what to look for, making you, statistically, more annoying at dinner parties. Congratulations.